Hey guys, today I'm going to do a mixed media sketchbook session, and I'm going to start with neocolors, and then I have some acrylic gouache, and I also have my colored pencils with me. So lately I've been really having a fun time doing basically mixed media faces, so that's what we're going to do today. And I've been kind of just having fun with the skin colors and using non-traditional colors, just whatever color strikes my fancy. So I think the color scheme I have in mind today is I'm going to do a blue for skin, purple for hair, and then like a pinkish sort of neutral, more neutral kind of background. I don't have a reference. I just kind of sketch out, a face, and if it comes out looking a little funky, then it's a little funky, that's okay. Basically, and I have these clips. They came 6 in a pack from the dollar store. Well, it's the $1.25 store now, but it's still a good deal. These are pretty nice. They've been working out well. So I've been using the neocolors to sketch the faces, but really if you don't have neocolor, these are neocolor too, they're water soluble. You can use colored pencils, you can use regular pencils, you can use markers, paint. You can just paint right with acrylics or watercolors or whatever you have. So the good thing about, a mixed media sort of session is that you really don't need any of the specific supplies I'm using. You can use whatever you have. So let's see. And usually I just kind of go like that, but I'm trying to be a little bit more precise. And then let's do a neck. Let's go like that. And then let's hold it back down. And I've been kind of doing one face per day. I think I mentioned this on my channel before, but I'm sure some of you guys are new here or haven't seen my videos before. But basically in the evenings, after a certain time, like let's say 9:30 p.m. when my brain's not really good for, doing anything super productive, let me make sure this is in frame. I watch TV, like different shows. I've seen pretty much all the shows that are out there, or like all the good ones, and then I'll do art at the same time. And since these faces aren't from a reference or whatever, they've been easy enough to complete while watching a show. So what kind of hair do we want? Part of the fun is the hair. Since she's leaning that way, we're gonna say the hair is going that way. Let's say it's a little. And part of the nice thing about using neocolors is that they leave the lines. So if you like draw lines for the hair, and obviously if you did this with colored pencils or watercolor pencils or pastel pencils, whatever, you would probably still have some lines left as well. So like I said, you really don't need to have neocolors. I just like how well they dissolve and that the lines aren't super precise, so it kind of helps you start out looser. I've been trying to kind of be looser in general. Here's her ear. Looser in general, but I don't know. I'm not sure being super loose is my thing, because I end up getting more and more kind of detailed when I go in with the pencils later. But starting out looser is nice, because then at least you still get like that kind of stylized look to the overall thing. And like I said, it's fine. These are all going to dissolve later. And I like to put in the hair too, like kind of quickly, so that I then know like, oh, this is where the ear needs to go, this is where this is going, or whatever, stuff like that. So let's say it's going to be a little bit of a darker. Is this the darkest? This one might be darker. These are not very precise. Maybe this one. Yeah. Yeah, so I've just been really enjoying kind of, you don't have to pay too much attention since you're not following a reference. You just kind of have fun with it. You just draw it in loosely, and then you enjoy just putting in the rest of it, So there goes hair. And then A lot of times, one thing is I'll flip it like this just to make sure the face isn't like crooked, or I don't, you know, because sometimes it's hard to see, especially because, you know, like I said, I draw these on the couch, so then a lot of the faces end up coming out a little crooked because the book is like sideways from me. I don't know if that makes sense. And then we're going to use this blue. It's a Prussian blue, so it's like a cooler blue for the darker shaded areas. Usually colors that are more recessed or more in the shadow are going to be cooler, and then colors on the foreground or things in the foreground or things closer to you, like for example, in a landscape, things closer to you, more in the foreground, are going to be warmer and better rendered, and then things in the background are going to be cooler and more atmospheric. And in a portrait, you want the warmer colors to be the ones that where the light is hitting, and then the other, you know, areas are going to be cooler and darker. And I've been really enjoying doing a lot with the shadows because I feel like it adds mystery, a mystery to the faces. Because really the whole point of these is to sort of, you know, create a little personality and then also express like whatever feeling that personality is capturing in that moment for you. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is that since I'm drawing an entire face right now, I don't know how long it's going to take me, because obviously when I do it in the evenings, I'm distracted and watching the movie, then painting, watching the movie, whatever, right? So I don't know how long these actually take. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. It might be a long video, it might not be, and I'm probably not going to do a ton of editing on this one. I'm probably going to just do minor editing and then post it, because otherwise it might take a really long time, and I just don't really have the time to do a lot of that. YouTube is just where I kind of share stuff just for fun. I just enjoy making videos and sharing with you guys, but it's not something that is like, it's not my job. Like, it doesn't make me any money, really, so let's see, we're gonna do some cute little lips. And again, I'm just staying rather loose because, and if you mess up, it really doesn't matter. You can basically, the other good thing about neocolor is you can basically erase them with water or dilute them or whatever, and then with other mediums you can kind of do the same thing, because you can paint over them in white, and except watercolors. You obviously can't do that with watercolors. Yeah, so for watercolors this would be a somewhat different approach. But everything else, like gouache, acrylics, all that stuff, they're very forgiving mediums. And watercolors, I know, always has this, like, you get this impression like, oh, it's so loose and free and like easy, but no, watercolors can be very, very challenging. And I actually did a poll on YouTube. The first poll was what video you guys want to see next. A mixed media sketchbook face session, which is what this is, was the front runner. But the other two options, which was 31 purple fish watercolor creative swatching, with like the fun swatching ideas that I have, was in second place. And in third place was the third option, which was a blackout poetry session. And they all got enough votes to where I'm probably going to still make those videos at some point. Well, I'm definitely making the 31 purple fish video sooner or later, obviously, because I have the paint already. So I'm definitely going to do it when I get the time. And then at some point I'll probably do the blackout poetry one as well. Those are kind of quick and easy, so I might even do it as a short, I'm not sure. And you can do a stylized nose, or you can do like a regular nose. Lately I've been doing less stylized and more kind of realistic noses. So even though those take a bit longer, quite a bit longer, I'm thinking I'll still do one of those today, like a more sort of rendered nose as opposed to more abstract nose. Just because I've been kind of like liking that look a little more lately. So I wasn't too surprised though that this was the front runner. I kind of figured that that's what people would want to see the most, but I wasn't sure. Then I did a second poll, and it was whether you guys wanted the sketchbook session to be real time, which is what this is, or do the whole thing sped up and then do a voiceover. And I kind of thought people would prefer that option, but really more people voted for this version, the real-time version. And I know I've seen people say that it's more relaxing watching this as opposed to a sped up thing, and it's like easier to understand how everything's put together, so I can kind of understand that. But I might try the sped up voiceover version at some point too, because I'll probably end up doing more of these sketchbook sessions if you guys like them. And then the other thing that really makes a difference in the expression is where the eyes go, and I'm thinking she'll be looking that way. Let's see. Good. Just have to make sure they're kind of even. It's hard to say sometimes. Maybe a little bit more this way. You know, you can move things around and stuff. It doesn't. You can kind of think of this as like the rough draft. Yeah, so however it comes out, or whatever's, messed up or not right, we'll fix it later. So let's put a little bit of neutral. And I've been doing backgrounds in watercolor too. Watercolor would obviously be pretty quick to just go in with watercolors, but you can do it just as well with neocolors, and then you get a little bit more of the strokes as well, so it's kind of nice that way. Get like a little bit more of the funky sort of background look. See, we don't really have to be super precise with any of it right now. We can add this warm gray. This one's called beige, but to me it's a warm gray. Yeah, so I was a little bit surprised to see that you guys wanted a real-time video, and I might speed up little parts of it here and there if I'm not talking, and if it's pretty clear what I'm doing anyways. We'll see when I go into the editing. Sometimes I can't predict how I feel about it once I start editing. Sometimes I'm like, ugh, what the heck was I doing? What was I thinking? Yeah, I'm not crazy about her eyes, so I might redo her eyes, and I'll show you how I would redo them. So I have some paintbrushes here, cheap acrylic paintbrushes. They're all from Michaels, and they're all cheap. And this one I think is specifically mixed media, but the other ones I think are for acrylics. But with gouache, I like using acrylic brushes, not watercolor brush. See, so when I use a couple colors of the neocolor, they kind of blend together. And some areas I'm dissolving more, and then some areas I'm dissolving less, so you can see more of the brush strokes. Or not the brush strokes, the crayon strokes. Trying not to go into that because that color is very strong, so we'll definitely blend into that. It's almost a little meditative and weird to be painting this with like not watching anything. I'm so used to like watching something. Even if I'm not watching like shows or whatever, I'll watch different YouTube videos. And by watch, I mean listen, because I'm not really looking up enough. So I do miss a lot of the shows, but that's okay, because I'd rather then at least I'm getting a show in and I'm, doing art as opposed to just one or the other. Okay, so and that's, if you're doing neocolors, that's a quick background. So as you can see, it barely, I don't know. I think, I'm not even sure watercolors would be any faster because you have to keep dipping your brush when you're doing watercolors, whereas here you kind of quickly put down the marks and the colors are already there. So the other thing I want to get rid of is this blue right here. So let me show you how I kind of erase it a bit. It's okay to have a little bit of the blue there. And again, I'm going to be using gouache later, right? So I can go over it with white or whatever and cover it up. But the more I can remove, kind of the better. See, isn't neocolor great? You can do like so much with it. So probably over here, I'll just go over with like some white gouache and then add like a little bit more shadows and highlights. Highlights with white gouache, white pencil, shadows mostly with pencils. I haven't been using too much of the gouache, mainly just the white one to kind of define and lighten up areas. Like, I just want you guys to see like how easy it is and how relaxing it can be, because you really don't have to try to make it be anything specific. Again, you're not using a reference, so it can just be whatever you want it to be. Just almost think of it as like an abstract face. You're making it stylized, which is kind of the same thing as, you know, abstracting it in some ways. So then it doesn't have to be any certain way. You can just relax and have fun with it, and just, you know, picking out different colors and all that stuff. It's just fun. And then here's the darker area. So right now we're just getting the bottom layer down, basically. This is the bottom layer, and we'll go over it later. And see how the strokes are still left? And you can kind of remove some of the colors for highlights as well if it's still wet. Or you can just use white gouache to add them in later, whichever is easier. You see how like strong this color is? This is the darker blue that we're using for the shadow. It just goes to show in general just how like strong neocolors are. And I'll show you the other way we're gonna fill in the face with like the lighter blue, because you notice I didn't, you know, draw it in, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, like color it in with the neocolor and then just spread it out. But sometimes it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more scrubbing to get rid of the marks, like the lines, because I wouldn't want the lines on the face, right? And this paper, even though it's really good paper, it does start to kind of pile, and like a layer of it. Sometimes I've had a little layer of it come off when I scrub too much with too much water. It's mixed media paper. Oh, so this is like a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook soft cover, 100% cotton paper. It's their 500 series. So it's very good paper, but it's not super thick. And it holds up well with things, but it's not watercolor paper, so it's not really designed for a lot of water scrubbing and whatever. So if you can avoid it, I try to avoid it if I can. So that's why I didn't put the color in. So that's the darker areas. And then we're going to take the lighter blue, and you can dissolve it and just use it to see, look, it immediately dissolves. It's basically flicking already. So there we go. We have already enough color to go in and fill up the face. And some of the areas do have already a lot more. And usually I'll put the eyebrows in later, because otherwise you have to kind of go around them, so it's a little annoying, but I already put them in, so we just have to go around them. If I paint them right now, then the purple's just gonna spread out, and that's not what we want. We want the purple to stay there in a line. See, I'm not being like very precise at all though. I'm using a large brush, a little darker here under the hair. There'll be a bit of a shadow. So, okay. I think we've kind of filled it in enough. And you can move it around. You can move the paint around. You want the eyes to be the same size. That one's became narrower after we diluted the paint. Okay, put that away. And I've been using this sheet too to protect the other page, but we already, I guess it doesn't matter. We already kind of put the wettest part down. Yeah, I think we're done with this area, so we can put the clips back on. So let's see what we're trying to do. I think we need to move the eye a little bit that way. That's what I'm doing right now, just trying to move the eye a little bit in that direction. I think this one's more centered and the other one was too over there. So I think that's good. So you can kind of dilute it enough to where you get rid of most of it. Okay, I think now they're looking a little bit more even. Spread that out a little bit, and then, oh, here's my white gouache. It's a little on its last legs, but I'm just trying to use it up. I have a new one ready to go. Then we see, once you add the white gouache, it just really kind of dilutes the whole thing. Just adding some white here for the highlights. The other thing I want to add is some under eye kind of shadows. You know what this reminds me of? Those, like, do you remember those books for kids where the image is already painted in and then you just need like a wet brush to go in, and then the paint underneath is revealed, and then when it gets dry, then the paint kind of disappears again. The color disappears. It's kind of like muted. You can barely see it. This kind of reminds me of it. It's like almost like when I go over the neocolor, the paint gets revealed. It's almost like it's already there, and I'm just revealing it. It's almost like sculpting a little bit, just kind of going in and moving things around, squishing things around until they look right. And we ended up with a bit too dark over here, but that's okay because we can go in and add the blue skin color back. And by having the darker color underneath, it's still there, so it's still going to come out dark, just more match her face more. Yeah, so you can see how, like, if you don't have neocolors, you can easily do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now with watercolors or gouache or whatever. Like, this technique of just layering paint is not neocolor specific by any means. And lifting paint, that is easy to do with gouache and watercolors as well. Not with acrylics, but it doesn't matter with acrylics, because with acrylics you can always go over it with white and fix whatever you want to fix. Oils, I don't know. I don't make too many comments about oils. I don't really work with them a lot. I do use water-soluble oils to go over my acrylics as like a final layer sometimes, just to add some more vibrant color to it. Let's add a little bit of the darker color now to the face. Because if we're saying that these are the shadow colors, then we want to be consistent. And in fact, It is a nice shadow color, and you can sort of use it for the hair too, because it creates a very, it's almost black. So let's see, there we go. And then that means we're going to do it here too. Just add a little bit of it other areas as well. And yeah, the only really rule I've been having with these is that I've been doing one a day. So that means I can't spend too long on them. But I guess when I'm done with this video, we'll find out how long they're actually taking me. And we have that. Yeah, I highly recommend, see, like, I just need the neocolors, the gouache, I don't have a ton of it, just some acrylic gouache, and then my pencil case. I have one of those, like, flipper books with my pencils, and that's all I need, so I can easily have all that on the couch and make these girls. So if you make your supplies portable and small enough, then it's very easy to then, you know, fit it into your daily routine. Like if you have some time in the evenings to relax and watch TV, that's when you can do your art. And that's one way to kind of fit it in no matter how busy the day was. Now, of course, if you don't have time to like watch TV in the evenings, then, you know, that's a totally different story. And trust me, I've had times in my life like that. I've been there, done that, especially when your kids are younger. You know, there's a lot more going on when your kids are little and they don't ever give you a break. But my kids are, you know, older now, so that's not an issue. So just adding shadows right now. And really, I'm just dipping my paintbrush in occasionally so that I can easily dilute this. So this is a little, I guess, live example of just how versatile the neocolors are and all the things you can do with them. So too much blue. So we're gonna go in and dilute it a bit. There's not really any rhyme and reason to the colors I'm picking either. I'm just kind of going what I feel like in the moment. You know, kind of, I think it kind of depends on my mood. Like, my mood seems to have been determining the colors and then kind of determining the expression the girls end up with and stuff like that. So that's why I've really been enjoying them, because I'm enjoying the process. The process is relatively easy and not stressful, again, because there's no reference, so it's not stressful. And then I'm enjoying the result because it feels like it captures a feeling every time. So I've been really liking that. Like, for example, I really like doing the loose florals. I enjoy the process. It's not stressful, they're fun, they're relaxing, and they're pretty. So I enjoy the result in terms of it being pretty, but it doesn't really capture a feeling for me, so it's not as like rewarding, if that makes sense. Whereas these feel more, I don't know, more like, you know, me. But then again, I've always just liked drawing faces. Those would be my doodles, like in the margins of notebooks or whatever. You know, I wasn't doodling like random doodles. I would just doodle girl faces when I was little. So that might be part of it. That this is just what feels the most natural to me and what I enjoy painting the most in general. And I haven't been doing backgrounds other than, you know, color. So that also like relieves the pressure of having to come up with what's going to be in the background, having to come up with like symbolism. There's really none of that. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I think I ended up with the nose not being So we need to kind of like widen it a little bit over here and bring it back. See, so anything that was imprecise, or because the neocolors are so broad and I don't sharpen them, anything that was imprecise you can fix with the white gouache. So it's all good. The lips, obviously, we don't want them a dark blue. They just kind of got that way because they're small. It's a small space and it's hard to draw with like the neocolors. But we can refine them now with the gouache. I don't like them to be too big. Kind of just have like the bottom lip mostly standing out. So what do you guys think? Are you going to give this a go? I mean, you saw we just started with an oval and some lines, and I'll show you some other noses I've done. If you don't want to do this kind of more rendered nose, it takes a little bit more time. You can do a more simplified nose. I'll show you. Just want to add the highlights, right? That reminds me of a trip we took a long time ago, my husband and I. And there was a tour guide, and he would bring the tour group like to different areas. It was like a 10-day long trip or a week-long trip or something, I forget. And pretty much every day, or maybe twice a day, he would we'd arrive at some location and be like, this is a highlight, like a highlight of the vacation. And then like, you know, a few hours later, he'd be like, this is a highlight. So we're like, okay, everything's a highlight. Now, he wasn't wrong. All the places were amazing, but it was just pretty funny. So now it's been like years and years. Like that was like 15 years. See, the paper's like really piling up because I've been scrubbing it. So it's really coming off. It's still fine. It doesn't go to the other side or anything. This notebook is really great, but you do want to be kind of careful. You don't want to like continue scrubbing until there's nothing left. But yeah, so even all these years later, sometimes we're like, it's a highlight. So, and you can kind of refine the shape of the eyes now and stuff. Bring a little bit more highlight to the neck. Some to the hair. That's what we wanted to do, right? We wanted to get rid of that blue line that went in the hair. Let's hold that down. Yeah, so here we can get rid of that blue line. And we want to put a highlight here anyways, because, you know, we want it darker underneath. So we're going to get rid of that blue line for the most part. Now, if a little bit of it shows through, if this was a painting I was doing on canvas or a nice paper and then I was going to sell it, I would be trying a little bit harder to get rid of things I didn't want and to make it perfect. But let's remember that this is just a sketchbook, and the goal is to maybe not do a face per day. I mean, my goal has been to try to do a face per day, but at least, you know, maybe a page per day or something. So you don't want to like get too stuck on making things perfect, because then, you know, you're going to end up putting too much time into a sketchbook. For a sketchbook, I feel like it's, you know, quantity over quality. The sketchbook is like to practice and try different things, get better at things. So if you get too stuck on any one thing, you're kind of not really doing yourself any favors. Now, if it's a painting for sale, then yeah, go ahead and invest some time into it. Okay, now we can do the eyebrows. Sort of wet them and spread them out. And obviously, like, the shape and the angle of the eyebrows is gonna create completely different expressions depending on what you do with that. You know, they can be kind of uplifted and surprised. They can be downchurned. Let's spread this out so it's easier to paint on top of it. I usually do the eyes last. And the nose is still a bit crooked. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna kill me because I'm like talking, drawing, and then I realized it wasn't recording anymore. So you missed, I think, the pencil part. I finished up, I don't think I lost too much footage of where I finished up with the acrylics. I'm not sure. I did this part. I don't know if you guys saw that. I just was hiding that blue line with the white gouache, and then I started using my pencils. So I think I lost the whole pencil part. So let me go over the pencil part again. Here's my regular pencil case. The specialty pencils are in a different case, like the pastel pencils, the watercolor pencils, the chalk pencils, and the Inktense pencils are in a different case. These are regular pencils, and I do have these Derwent drawing pencils, which I love. They're a cross between a regular pencil and a neocolor because they're that soft. The rest of it is Prismacolor pencils that I bought like a million years ago on eBay for a good deal, back when their biggest set was 120. Now their biggest set is 150, but back then it was 120. So that's what I have. And I love these for sketchbooks, because you don't need to worry about it being super light fast or anything for sketchbooks, and it gives you a lot of colors. So basically the whole thing I was chatting about was that, you know, if you're looking not to spend a ton of money on pencils, but you want like a good set and, you know, a lot of color options, I would definitely recommend the Prismacolors. Now I have heard that their quality has gone down over the years. But you're still like, they're still a fraction of the price of like the Caran d'Ache Luminance, the Polychromos, the Derwent Lightfast. They're a fraction of the price of those. So it's still a really good deal. So the only thing I've been doing so far is using this indigo blue to sort of add some shadows. So that's all you guys missed. So hopefully that doesn't, you know, upset anyone too much. Sorry about that. Stupid phone. Okay, so let's go in and define the lips. Maybe we want the lips to be, should we have them be kind of purplish? So you kind of put that, you know, area in there. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to center them to make sure they're even, because they got uneven during the painting phase. I'm putting some of the shadows back in. What else I've discovered, I don't know if all pencils do this, but the Prismacolors do, is that if you go over them with water, they'll dissolve, kind of like the neocolors. And you can kind of smudge them with your finger too. I guess they're soft enough that you can do that, so it's kind of cool. So yeah, so I like that about them too. Now let's pick a blue that's not quite as dark maybe. I don't want to go in and put too dark a highlight in. Or not highlight, shadow. Then I was telling you guys a story about highlights. I don't know if that got recorded or not, but anyways, the summary is we were on a tour and the tour guide kept saying highlight for like every location we'd go to, which he wasn't necessarily wrong because they were all highlights, but it was just pretty funny. So now every time I hear the word highlight, I'm like always reminded of the tour guide saying it's a highlight, take pictures, it's a highlight. But I think tour guides should be excited and about, you know, what they're showing you and into it. Otherwise it's kind of suspicious. Kind of like a chef who doesn't like eating or something, you know. It's like, what's going on there? If you're not into it. Okay, so let's see, let's add some purple here. There was like a white spot that I missed. And let's do the, where's the darker blue? Oh, here's the indigo. So I kind of like using some of the same colors like all over, like for hair, let's say, and for skin, for example. That's like one example or you can use other combos, but it just kind of helps to pull the art together or the piece together to have the same colors used everywhere. Helps harmonize it. And then since we have some highlights here, I'm going sort of around them to increase some of the shadows around them. Yeah, so I don't know. Are you guys gonna give this a go? What do you think? If you do give it a go, let me know what you think. Okay? That's all I ask. Oh, another thing I was saying is that that I think didn't get videotaped. Hold on, let me make sure we're still taping. All right, we're good. Is that I like using pencils for these detailing because it's, you know, they're so precise and it's so easy, but I don't like doing full pencil pieces because it really hurts my hands. So I mean, I do like it because I love the colored pencils, but they really, really hurt my hands. Like I would do one of those little 3x5 sketchbooks for a couple days. And after a couple days, my hands were just barely like, they weren't even usable anymore. So I really don't know how do people manage to do full pencil pieces like all day, every day, you know, for hours on end. They're just doing their, you know, huge pencil pieces, all pencil. I don't know how do they do it, honestly. I guess maybe their hands are stronger than mine. Do any of you guys have that same issue? Am I the only one? Am I the only one sharing crazy stuff on camera and then nobody else can like relate? Or hopefully not. All right, so let's add that. And then let's add a little bit of like purple. Kind of use it as a pink. And add a little bit of warm cheek color. I don't want to scrub too much over there. That's the part that's that paper over there is starting to fall apart. Yeah, we're just adding some highlights and details and some interest to the piece. Let's add a little bit of make it a little bit darker here for shadow. Soften the edges a little bit, you know, kind of like where the lips go in, and then darken it a little bit here. And usually I'll do these like in the evening, right, and I'll finish it, but then the next day I look at it and I see some things that I would like change or add or fix or whatever. So then I allow myself to go ahead and, you know, work on it for another 10-15 minutes and make some of the changes that I'm seeing that I want to make. Like I'm not super, you know, militant with myself where, you know, it's finished and next day it's a different one. And, you know, I allow myself to make some changes if I see something that really looks like it could be improved upon. So it's very possible that we're going to finish this today and then tomorrow I'm going to go back in, or maybe in the evening, and see some things I want to kind of, you know, add or fix or whatever and make some small changes. So if you guys want to see the final version in a couple weeks, I already have the next couple of weeks on Instagram pre-scheduled with like the faces I've already made. So in a couple of weeks this will end up on my Instagram and then you'll be able to see what the final version looks like. I think we're good with that. Can add a little bit of a darker shadow here. Obviously we need to do the eyes. Let's do that. Let's have them in the center. Have them like that and like that. Let's get a nice black. The Derwent drawing is a really nice black. Now, you don't really get a super precise, like super sharp type of point with them. They're not really so much for that. They're almost like a neocolor, but sharper than a neocolor. So like I said, they're like a cross between the two. This is a Holbein. I want to see if I can, yeah. The Prismacolor wasn't wanting to go over all the gouache as well, but this Holbein is a little bit softer and going over it pretty well. And what color should her eyes be, do you guys think? Let me do the... This is hard to do with the neocolor not being sharpened at all. So I'm trying to like focus a little bit more there. That's good enough. Hold on. Wait, I don't like that. Ugh, it's hard to do with the it's hard to do with the neocolors. It's all right. We can kind of adjust it. Yeah, there we go. What color should her eyes be? Can do like a brown. Should we do brown eyes or blue eyes? Let's do blue eyes because she's already got a lot of blue in there. So let's do like a nice pale blue for the bottom. Put the lightest color at the bottom for the eyes, and then pick like a darker color, like this indigo blue at the top. And then pick like a medium color, do this ultramarine to bring it out into the lighter color. Oh, this ultramarine's nice because ultramarine's got like almost like a little bit of a purplish tinge to it. Look at that, it kind of matches the hair. So you bring it out, kind of like, almost like you're using alcohol markers. And do the same thing on the other side. Where's the black? Just making the pupil a little bit larger and a little bit darker. Now, of course, you can just use black gouache for that part, but I don't know, I've just been doing pencil, but there's really no right or wrong way. Black gouache or whatever paint medium you're using to make these. You know what? Kind of like that. Let's do the same thing here. Make it a little bit thicker. Then obviously you want to put highlights back in. So you're going to go in with like a smaller brush and then let's see, put some highlights back in. Or you can keep using the brush you were using. And I don't know if the part where I said that actually you can dilute the, oh, you know what? I'm going to kind of go in and put some shadows here too at the whites of the eyes. And you don't ever want to leave the whites of the eyes totally white anyways. You don't want like a stark white over there. So let's put a little bit of a... but I was saying you can dilute. I don't know if all pencils can do this, but with Prismacolors you can dilute them with water. So just so you guys can keep that in mind, which is nice in some ways. For example, this harsher pencil edge I could dilute with water if I want. Put some highlights like where the nostril is. And then in the whites of the eyes. Now we are going to dilute it a little bit here with like spread the white out a bit just to bring the whites back. But you'll notice that it's not at all completely white, like not by any means. We're just using diluted paint right now. And because all the supplies we've used are water soluble, well, the acrylic wash does dry, not water soluble, but for the most part, things have been water soluble. So as I'm using this very watery white, it does kind of dilute things and color the white paint so that things are not coming out too white by any means. But we can then go back in and put like a little bit more of a highlight in. I hope you guys can see how like easy it is to sort of correct any mistakes, like the mistakes quote unquote I made, like the eyes were crooked or like the pupils were crooked, whatever, like those types of mistakes. You know, in the initial phase where you're just sketching things out, you know, then we had the ugly phase, which is the paint, before we went in with pencils. Like, don't get hung up on that. Just keep working on it, keep pushing through until you get it to the point that you like it. You know, now at some point, if it's really not working out and you're annoyed with it, you can either just leave it or paint over it, depending on how far you've gotten with it or whatever. But most things are fixable, so if you just keep working on it, most things you will get to a point that you like. Doing the eyes a little bit more. The most expressive part of the girl is the eyes, so I'd like to kind of make sure I spend some time on that. Okay. Too dry. I want to kind of dilute it. And then obviously we'll want some more highlights in the eyes. There we go. And let's do a little bit at the top of the nostril, this nostril too. And again, I'm just getting a little bit of white on my brush and then I'm diluting it in the water so it doesn't come out like a harsh white highlight, but more like a spread out kind of whitening of the area. This one we just want. Okay, I think we're getting close. Do a little bit more with the big brush. Dip it a little bit in so that it's not so harsh again. We don't want too much water on it. What do you guys think of this kind of video? I think I'm going to try the sped up version with voiceover as well at some point. But if you strongly prefer the live version, let me know as well, because then I could just do more of these types of sketchbook sessions. I mean, I'm not a review channel. I just kind of share my artistic journey with you guys. And sometimes that means, you know, sharing new art supplies I've picked up. And then other times it just means, oh, I got too much blue somehow over here. I don't know where the blue even came from, but we're gonna fix that. And sometimes it means just sharing, you know, the art I'm making, like a sketchbook flip, tutorial, or just a sketchbook session. I don't have Patreon, so all my videos are free. So if there's something you want to see, something you want to hear more about, something you want to learn, just let me know and I'll pop it up on my YouTube. Oh, I know where the blue came from. I was using it here with like the pencil. Well, now it's like, now because I have blue over there, I'm gonna have to like dilute a little bit of, see, this is what I was talking about. The pencil dilutes with water. I'm gonna add a little bit of the blues around just so it kind of matches. so it doesn't stand out so much. Also, let me know if this was easy to follow and you guys feel like you can kind of easily recreate this, or if there's anything I need to do differently for it to kind of make more sense or be better for you. I'm open to suggestions. So let's see. Now at this point we could be done, but I'm not. Sorry, I was just making sure it's still recording. I'm like traumatized. I want to add just a little bit of like more, like a darker highlight here. This is again the Raisin from Holbein, and I do have an indigo blue, I think, from Holbein that I could be using, but I kind of like the Raisin here because it brings a little bit of the purple into the face and kind of ties things together better. So let me try to move away from it and see. Okay, I mean, I think I'm gonna call it done for now, but if like I said, if I like look at it later after I've had a little bit of time away from it and I see something glaring or jarring that bothers me, I will go ahead and edit it some more. Not for long. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because like I said, my goal is trying to do one of these per day. So if I spent too much time fixing old ones, I wouldn't have enough time to do new ones. So I wouldn't really allow myself that much time on it, because it would be time for me to make a different one at that point. If it's something that can be improved upon quickly, then I let myself do it. Okay, let's see. So I think we're good. Just want to add a little bit more highlight here. Not highlight. Why do I keep saying highlight? I'm stuck on highlights now. Shadow. A little bit more of a shadow here. And you guys are going to have to forgive me. Like, there's not going to be a ton of editing with this one, with this video. It already took most of my video allotted time just to make this video, so there's not a lot of time left for the editing portion. So, yeah. All right, hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think. If you like this kind of video and you want to see more, also let me know, and thanks for watching.